I'm Larry Ohnsman, and I'm a director on the Union County Historical Society. I'm a lifetime member, and I've been involved with the workings of the society for quite a few years. My main project to start with was this log cabin that we're in right now. This cabin was originally located along Milford Avenue, across the road from what we call the town run. And this was a potter by the name of Edward Weller, who came from England. Came to this country when he was about 22 years old. He'd been trained in pottery by his father, and his father had been employed at the Waterford works in England. So Edward was very skilled because of what he had learned from his father. And when he located the land here in Marysville on Milford Avenue, he located his pottery and kiln across the road from his house down along the town run. Well, that business went on for at least 50 years, I think, and his son took over most of the works, and they were producing field tile at that time, which was a very marketable thing. So from there, Mr. Weller lived here in the cabin. I don't know how many children he had at that time, 4 or 5 anyway, that lived in the log cabin that's here. This cabin, the original part of it measures around 16 foot by 13. Well, when we got the cabin, my father found this cabin some years back, and he added this L that we're in right now, for the kitchen and living area, to the cabin. So at this point, we consider this as the kind of living that might have been done back in the 1850s. So during this time, I have spent about a year restoring the cabin with the furnishings here of around 1850. So we have it set up where our docent can bring school children through, and they can see the way people lived back then. And it's funny because some of the kids always ask, well, where's the television set at? And that's shows the difference in the generations. But anyway, it's maybe not exactly the way things were, but we come close to presenting what we think is livable conditions. We have a dry sink over here and a cupboard area where you might call it a kitchen. We have this area here with a fireplace, a cook stove, and we've had a meal cooked here before, and it was really great to have cooking done in an authentic way. I think that this cabin is probably one of the oldest buildings in the Union County right now. We think it's built around 1830s. The type of logs that notching that was on there is what's called a cathedral joints. And because of that, we can kind of determine the area of which it was built. There was a half a dozen different types of notching that the pioneers used to use. And this skill was taught by the Swedes, the Finns, the Germans, the French that came over here in the early 1800s and began to build this type of house. So we have the remains of a few log cabins around now, and there's interesting things about these cabins, the way they were built. This particular cabin was moved all in one piece. I'm not sure how it was done because I wasn't around then, but my father loaded it on an old farm wagon and moved it probably 400 yards to where it was located at the old village here. And then from there, it was moved to this site here at the Historic Society. With the modern technology of moving, they have all these pneumatic jacks and everything kind of computerized where they can keep that load level and with good care. The chimney that's on behind me here at the fireplace, the chimney, everything was moved in place. There wasn't a crack in it when we got it here. So it's amazing that something like that can be done. But that's what they're able to do today. Any kind of a large house that can move it because of all the computerized hydro jacks that they use. And so this has been here. This cabin's been here on this site since 2008. And when we moved it here, we had quite a procession of people following through the town to this site. So it had to come about 1.5 miles, I'd say, or 2 miles from the past site where it was. We had to conform to local building standards, having a foundation put in instead of 4 cornerstones, which a cabin used to sit on. And we had to have a crawl space and a sump pump, and you name it, all the modern technology had to be used today. We couldn't just keep it as it originally was. And we had to electrify it, so we had, because of that, they required us to have an emergency light system. So if the power went off, that the light would come on and that sort of thing. So as I say, the cabin's been here since 2008, and it took me a whole year to restore it, and then we finally were able to furnish it and have it open for the public. So it's been an interesting asset to our museum here. We're all the time keeping our eyes open for pottery such that Mr. Weller used to make. We do have a display here of probably 75 to 100 pieces of pottery that he made. The fact that he was highly trained by his father, he didn't go into very artistic work. It was mostly functional, pots, vases, things of that sort. And then later in the end of the 19th century, why, as I say, his son got him to make field tile, which at that time was a very important thing to use. So, and then by 1900s, the plant was closed down here, and that was the end of the pottery here. But this was the only pottery in Union County. And we're fortunate we do have a lot of Mr. Weller's pottery here that we've gleaned, and they say there's still a lot around the area that people don't really realize what he had. He never signed anything, so you never knew for sure whether it was from his pottery or not.